You're listening to The Broken Meeple Show, a podcast that speaks passionately about board games for the benefit of those who play them. My name's Luke Hector, best known for the Broken Meeple YouTube channel, and I'm an everyday gamer just like you. And I'll be talking about reviews, top 10s, and just about anything that connects me to board games, as long as I have a tea or coffee in hand, that is. So grab a cup, relax, and enjoy. And remember, it's only a game. Hi everybody, Luke Hector here for another podcast episode that I'm actually recording slightly in advance because technically this is Friday the 9th of February and this won't release until Sunday, but the problem is that I'm visiting some friends in London for the weekend. I won't get back until probably 7 o'clock in the evening, and at that point I'll be playing stuff like Valheim and that online. So I won't have time on Sunday to get the podcast out. Maybe I'll have time to press go in terms of get the episode uploaded to YouTube or something, but I'm not going to have time to record it. So I figured I'd take Friday evening to actually get it done. And, this should be an easy episode to do anyway. But, yep, generally pretty good. I've, had the cleaner around today. She's done the house very nicely because I know it may be saying, come on, Luke, do you really need a cleaner? Trust me, I kind of do. I don't have a lot of time on my hands with doing the blog and sort of living alone and, doing other bits and bobs social-wise. So having somebody who can come around on a monthly basis to do a spring clean of most of the house, not all of it, certainly not the game room and the study and that, but, they can do the bathrooms, they can do the kitchen, they can do my bedroom, then, perfect. It saves me the job and, they're cheap as chips. So it's, why not? You got a bit of money, why not spend it on conveniences rather than, going out of the way? But other than that, I've finished work for the week. I've got my lovely, still steaming coffee here. Decaf, of course, because I am pretty much 95% decaf. I'll occasionally have a caffeinated drink, I've decided, in the future if I must. But for the most part, if I can have a decaf alternative, I will. And if I have to have caffeinated drinks, which could be a tablet for the cold, which I have had a cold for the last week, but I think I've gotten over the worst of it now, so I should be alright. Just a bit of a sticky throat, I guess. Not painful throat, but mucousy throat, what it's like after you finish over a cold. But also, the fact that maybe I'll have a Pepsi Max or something. They've got like caffeine in it or something, but small amounts. I certainly am not drinking 6 cups of coffee anymore. Although, well, I say not 6 cups of coffee, 6 cups of caffeinated coffee. Because I've still got a whole cafetiere of here over there. How do you pronounce it? Cafetiere? It's something like that. But I've still got half one of those filled up with decaf coffee as well. Because you can't just make one mug. You got to make more than one mug, surely. Hopefully it will stay warm long enough. But the idea is that this episode is to talk about a recent retreat I did. But first, let's have a quick look at the dashboard. So yeah, 22,542 subscribers. This is still climbing quite nicely, actually. So thank you for everybody who has recently subscribed. I very much appreciate it. I've had some very nice comments on some videos lately, actually, for people who have said, love what you do, love the honesty, and this is why I've subbed. Stuff like that. That's very much appreciated. So I do thank you for that. I'll certainly respond to everybody who says that kind of stuff. But content-wise, the top 100 is almost done. I have literally just aired the 20 to 11 segment of the top 100, so that is going strong, hopefully, and hopefully you'll enjoy the games I've put on there. The top 10 has been recorded. It just needs to be edited, which it will be done, and hopefully in time, it should be in time for next Friday to air properly. So, we are getting, you are going to see the end of the top 100 very soon, like less than a week from now, because you'll get this on Sunday. So yeah, in a few days you will get the final 10 games that made my top 100. And there's some considerations in that video about what to do for next year, so I'd like to get your thoughts, but more on that in the video itself. Other than that, though, I've done a couple of reviews for Age of Rome, which is a sort of Kickstarter game that was at Essen. I didn't get a chance to try it there. They gave me a review copy. I have given it a review. It's kind of a weird it's an abstract sort of Euro minigame type thing, a bit like what Trajan had before, except that the districts you build on rotate around this board, and so the district you're working on in one round might not be the one you're working on in the next round. It's a interesting little gimmick. The question is it any good? And then I've also done a review on Mythwind. Mythwind is a recent Kickstarter that's fulfilling, which, similar to Lands of Galzir, is essentially trying to be a game that you just play endlessly. There's no like plot, conflict, end, or anything like that. You simply just play the game, have a bit of a cozy time, and just do what you like. Now, I really like Lands of Galzier, but spoiler alert, Mythwind didn't quite work as well for me. However, you might be thinking, well, what's the difference between the two? Check out the review. I go into a lot of detail as to what the differences are and why one works for me and one doesn't. So that will be an interesting one, I hope, for some of you. But yeah, not much other content since the last one, because I mean, when was that? January the 28th. So I've had HandyCon to deal with. I had my mum's 70th, and then last weekend I was in Iceland, which is the premise of this episode. And then this Saturday and Sunday I'm in London. So I've got a free weekend next weekend. So yay, I actually have a free weekend. However, straight after that free weekend, on the Tuesday, I go to the Netherlands on a cruise for 5 nights. So I'm slightly away for a fair bit of Jan and Feb compared to what I would like, but at least you will get the top 100 finished before I go, and hopefully you'll even get another top 10. I wouldn't mind doing one, possibly even a couple of live episodes, because I want to do my top 10 anticipated games for the year, but that's a hard one to do with the table in front of me and stuff, because I don't have the games in front of me, and all you can get is pictures and what I can remember about the games, because I don't have a huge amount of information on them. So I figured it might be better just to do a live top 10 where I do it on screen like I do with this podcast, and just show the games off on BGG while just having a nice little chat with with anyone who's viewing. So I think that might work better for my anticipated games list. I also want to do some other top 10s on top, but then I've also asked the Patreons to do if I could do a rather interesting top 10 soon, and that is top 10 regrets. Now, when I say regrets, I don't mean top 10 regrets as in, oh, I bought this board game and it was trash, disappointments. No, I mean regrets of content I've created and regret. Because not a lot of people talk about the content that they produce, and it's something that I do like to stipulate that, yes, I am just some bloke who is on YouTube talking about board games. So it is, I do like to actually give a little bit of insight as to how I do things, why I do things like this, and whether there's anything I would improve. Now, I can think easily, as I was doing my notes, of at least 10 different either forms of content, types of content, or games where I've done a video and regretted doing it. Now, this could be content that I thought would work and just didn't. This could be something that was just bad quality, and it's like, why did I put that out? It could be that I didn't put up a video and I really should have, that kind of thing. But it could also be that I rated a game too low compared to what I think it should be, or too high compared to what I think it should be. And yeah, I'm not going to lie, there's more examples of the latter than the former on that one, where I did a review, it was a long time ago, and my rating since then would have dropped like quite quickly. So it's like, why did I review it at that rating? Let's just say I was probably a bit more lenient back in those days, compared to now. You think I was, I'm tough now. Maybe I was tough a little bit back then, but maybe not tough enough at some cases. So, there are a few of those where I've like, yeah, maybe I would have done things differently. And so I thought it might be interesting to do a live top 10 where I go into that kind of detail. That would be interesting. And if I do them live, it means I haven't got to do a lot of pre-prep. So I can just do those while also doing other like review content, because I don't have many games to review. I've only got a review Last Light, and I think that's it. I don't think I've got any other review copies specifically, although I do need to play the War of the Ring card game expansion at some point, because I realised that they gave me a review copy to do the solo expansion review, and I still haven't played it since Essen, so it's like, oh yeah, I better actually do that at some point. But I've also got games of the Fox Experiment and Dune Uprising that I wasn't certain if I was going to do a video or not. I thought maybe I'll do them in the podcast, but I don't know, they're quite big games. I think doing them in the podcast might be wasteful on the game itself. So if I want to do reviews for those, they'll probably be quickish reviews, but I still probably need to do an actual video for them. So yeah, I got some ideas of what's to come, but thankfully there's not a lot of new games being released at the moment. Oh yeah, Wormspan. Yes, I will do a review of that pretty dang quick. Although, at the moment, I'm still waiting for the wretched thing to arrive. Some people have already had the game, and I suspect it's mostly US and European or something, but in the UK, I'm still waiting for my copy that, a very kind viewer has ordered for me, like, on my behalf, as a Stonemaier champion. So I kind of, like, really need to get a copy of that game and start giving it the beans solo and multiplayer. It won't take me very long to give it the beans because I've got interested parties already wanting to play it, and of course I can play it solo in no time at all. But man, yeah, that is a review I need to crank out quick, and I would really like to get it out before I go on the cruise. So it really ideally needs to arrive this weekend, or at the very latest early next week, like Tuesday or so that I've got enough time at different game clubs and at home, and people have time to come around on the weekend and stuff like that for me to get that review out, because I really do want to review Wormspan before too many people start going goo goo gaga, waiting for it. And it's like, let me find out for certain whether it's good or bad, or whether the differences are meaningful or whatever, because like I say, I think the fans are already out in spades for it. So we shall see how things go. But yeah, there's a lot of ideas, but thank you for watching, and thank you for giving your support as always. Oh, that's very nice decaf coffee. I get my I vary where I get my coffee from suppliers wise. At the moment I've done quite a few from Coffee Link, because I did have I have that Meeple coffee one, but because I've quit caffeine, they've only got one decaf coffee available, so I've already drunk all of that. So until I get some more of that from them, I kind of have to make do with other suppliers. So Coffee Link is where I've got a few of mine at the moment, and yeah, they do some nice decaf coffees. But Meeple Coffee, who I have talked about on the show, and talked about what sort of stuff they do some nice caffeinated coffees. So if you're not like me and having to quit caffeine, by all means check out some of their stuff. They are nice coffees. So anyway, let's get on with the show. So what exactly have I been doing? And yep, this is going to be interesting because I'm going to talk about two games that are new that I haven't played, so like from the convention itself, but a little bit of background. So I have a friend called Hilmar that you have seen on my channel a couple of times already for a live top 10 and a SM for the blog. I went to Midgard, which he helped me go to back in September. And I've already talked about Midgard on the previous podcast, so that's already a thing. But literally out of the blue, probably about a week or so before I actually went, he talked to me about a convention. Well, a convention is maybe not the right word, but basically I call it an Icelandic game retreat. It was a hotel retreat in a small hotel in a very remote town, or village, I'm not sure. It's Iceland, there's not a lot of people in it, in that particular town regardless. And it was a small place. It was only about like 50 odd people it was for. Like, it's a small thing, but he arranges it himself, gets people that he knows to come along. So there's a lot of like friendly people, and just effectively rents out the hotel room. People can stay overnight. They can do food. He brings a bunch of games over, which sets up a pretty half decent library. I've got a picture I'll show you a little later, and it's just basically a nice get together. But he invited me up as a guest. Why he does that, I don't know, but it's like, I don't deserve that kind of treatment. But, he invited me up, and I figured, what, as much as I haven't had a spare weekend in ages, and could use one, I just like going to Iceland, and I like playing games. So the two together, I just figured, why not? Especially as the last time I went to Iceland, it was September. So it was mostly sort of like, lava plains, and you could see the green, you could see the big mountains and the geysers and stuff like that. But this time I was going in February. So it was extremely cold, but I like cold. I much prefer cold to boiling hot, and well, outside of a shower or bath anyway. But the idea was that I thought, okay, I get to see Iceland in sort of two guises. And they do say that you should see Iceland in both scenarios, but I'll show some pictures of that. But the first thing I want to mention is the convention itself, as to its name, because I call it the Icelandic Game Retreat, and I'll bet any amount of money that Hilmar is probably listening to this podcast right now, waiting for me to try and pronounce the name of his little event and the at the hotel that we're at. I may decide to do that for you in a minute. Icelandic is not the easiest thing in the world. However, I thought about that, and I've got a little bit of a little cheat there. So I am going to I've got my Facebook tab shared here, so I can share audio. He sent me the pronunciation over Facebook Messenger. So hopefully this will come through. If this is a bit loud, I do apologize, but this is what the name of the con and the hotel is. All right, so listen up.
Spilavin á Hótel Hvolsvelli.
Just in case you didn't hear that, let me try again.
Spilavin á Hótel Hvolsvelli.
Spilavin Ohoto Vosveklik. I mean, that's the best I can do for pronunciation. But yeah, I figured like he sent me a sound file with the pronunciation, so it's like you do realize I can actually put this on here and actually have it play out. So just in case my pronunciation sucks, you just got the official one from him. So you can get the idea from there. But let's actually go and share the other screens that I'm doing, i.e. the ones with the photos on, because that would probably be more useful to people. Here we go. So, basically, is this good enough? Yep, that's good enough. So, this is the game library, effectively, which, people brought their own games as well, but this is effectively what we had. And as you can see, there's quite a few newish titles on there. He's got quite a few here, and obviously, if you can't see this because you're listening, I'll fire a few off. Marrakesh, Thunder Road Vendetta, Deal with the Devil, Dale the Merchant, Scholars of the South Tigris, Books of Time, Rats of Wistar, which I didn't actually get to play. I probably should have tried at that point because I needed to actually try it. Wayfarers of South Tigris, Planet Unknown, Atawar, Underwater Cities, Kanban EV, Coffee Traders, Ark Nova, Expeditions, Anunnaki, is that what you call it? Voidfall was there, Hegemony was there, Nemesis was there, Series was there, Heat was there, what else we got there? Come on, Evacuation, Keyflower, Root, Altiplano, Woodcraft, Zolkin, Talton, Brussels 1890, Who Gives a Monkeys, the game is so boring. Last Will, Ultimate Railroads, Great Western Trail, all of it, Great Western Trails. So Nucleum, yeah, there's a lot of games there that are both like oldish and new, but there are some popular Euro games here, and yeah, there were some light games there as well, but yeah, I think for the most part they were sort of mid to heavyish Euros. But yeah, there was quite a decent amount here. I obviously didn't take any games along. I relied entirely on what was on this shelf. And believe me, it was more than enough to keep me occupied for a weekend. And I didn't even stay for the full weekend. I had to come back for work, annoyingly, and didn't have any holiday spare. So I could have been there for most of a day, but I had to leave about Sunday midday. I had to head back to the airport. Well, I say head back to the airport. Hilmar's fiance very kindly drove me all the way there, and that's a 2.5-hour journey to get to the airport, and then another 45 minutes to get back to their house. So, thank you very much for the lift. That was very much appreciated. And this time, I came back with no food poisoning. Nay, no food poisoning this time. I didn't eat any fish. I ate something else, which I'll get onto later. But I was thinking, yes, I've had a smooth transition back from Iceland. This is great. Until I had a puncture after the M25 at home. Yes, I can't seem to go on holiday without something bad happening to me. I am just blessed with so much bad luck, it seems, that something has to go wrong whenever I go away anywhere, and it doesn't matter how remote the chances are, it will happen. I haven't had a punctured tire for like years and years and years, and I get it now after I come back from Iceland. Come on, that's literally somebody up there, looking down and going, right, how can I tick Luke off today? Not ideal. But, that said, didn't spoil the rest of the trip because that was England doing that to me in the M25. Iceland did everything it needed to, which was entertain me greatly. So, just to give an idea of Iceland, let's see if I can find, if I can, the that particular photos of the area. So that's snowy bit. Let's see if I can find some snow bits. Yeah, so this is a typical sunrise when it comes to Iceland. Everything is snow. Yeah, you want unbroken snow paradises. You go to Iceland in February time, and the temperature ranged anywhere between -6 and -12. You don't notice it's that cold when you stand outside, though. Yes, it's cold, but compared to being cold in the UK, you don't notice it as much because there's not as much wind over there. So you're standing out in the cold, but you don't feel the wind chill. And so after a hot shower, when I had to wear I stupidly took a long sleeve topper on, I was boiling. Standing outside actually felt quite refreshing. But trying to find out. So yeah, here we go. So this is the typical kind of thing you see. Nice big fat mountain with sheer white on it. Just pure white. I've even got some video footage here, which that might be coming through the microphone, I don't know, but the sound should not be coming through the podcast bit. And yeah, You just look around and it is nothing but, nothing but white. Nothing but white. I mean, look at this. It's just it's just pure white snow. You want something to look like Christmas, and you come to Iceland. That's basically the deal. And I find snowy landscapes beautiful. It's kind of like the way I like to, experience things. I mentioned something I ate there. See this little picture here? This is a picture of some very delicious meat with some sweet potato fries and some roasted vegetables. And had a nice glass of red wine with it as well. Some Cabernet Sauvignon. It was very nice. And red wine goes with this particularly well. But essentially, what you see here in a picture is horse. Yeah, I ate horse. Apparently, horse is easier and cheaper to acquire in Iceland than beef and cattle. So, cow beef is a bit more expensive than even around here. I mean, everything's expensive in Iceland for anybody from Britain. But, even more so, beef is pretty rare over there. No pun intended. So the menu had horse meat, and he told me that horse steak was particularly nice. And given that the last time I had a steak was in, I had a steak the other day, but the last proper one I had was in London with my dad, where we had Wagyu beef, which is currently my top-rated steak. You want the best steak, Wagyu beef is the way to go. But I tried this one, and it actually tastes pretty nice. I mean, I know some of you might be going ape, and certainly my sister-in-law went ape when I told her I ate horse, But, at the end of the day, we eat animals. It's just the way we are. But, horse is actually kind of just like chewy beef. It was cut up into pieces. It was very tender, and it tasted basically just like tender beef, but a little bit more chewy, I would guess. So, honestly, it was a perfectly nice meal, but that was a nice little meal. Anyway, we're not here to talk about the sights of Iceland per se and, a cookery class. So why don't we actually get on with the point and talk about some games? So, in terms of games played, well, there was certainly quite a few. So let me load up a few. Here we go. Scholars of the South Tigris featured. So, I taught that one. People were interested to see how it was like. It's fresh on my mind because I've been teaching it a lot lately, actually, because of the fact that it's a recent release and not everybody has had a game of it. We played the casual game because there is literally no reason to play the epic game. Literally, the epic game, I've played it. All it does is add more time. It adds more time and you can score higher. That's it. That's all it does. It doesn't really add any extra enjoyment to the game. And if you play epic mode with 4 players, you're going to be there for ages. There's just no need. Casual game gives you a good length mid-weight Euro, and that's what I want. Suffice to say, one of the players was not able to do as well as they would like, but I think I was playing the envoy, so yeah, I'm teaching the game and I've played it several more times. Of course I'm going to win the game, but, the scholar didn't do too badly, close on my heels. But yeah, that was a good little game. It was interesting, though, because we struggled to get things translated for a while, so we had to get victory points elsewhere. Heat was another good one, so we played the Italia map, and I taught 5 new players this, so we had a full count of 6. I think this is on the second lap that we've got here, or maybe the third lap. Suffice to say, yellow's a bit at the back not doing as well, and it is one flaw with heat. If you're too far back by about the halfway mark, it's very difficult to pull it back, especially if you're back by quite a distance. But this was a good fun game. It was very tense, and the positions kept chopping and changing, and by the end it was literally down to 3 of us, including myself, for the last bit. And I think it was literally like a space or two where it came down to we were literally neck and neck, and it came down to how far we got past the line. So it was a good tense finish, and you'll notice that I used the snowy weather there because I figured we're in Iceland, so why don't we actually use the snowy, icy weather? So cooldown was a lot easier to do, particularly as I put the cooldown tile on the massive long straight. So people were going pretty reckless with their heat exchange because they knew they could cool down lots, but this was a good fun one as well. Earth. Of course somebody wanted to be taught Earth. Earth's a great game. Why would I not want to teach Earth? And so, yeah, this one was a very close win, actually. We'll get onto the score pad because I think I took a photo of it. But, as you can see here, I think I went quite heavily into blue for the most part with an ounce of yellow. But in fact, I couldn't even choose the yellow action because I played a card for it. But I was definitely trying to use blue as often as possible because I could generate cubes so fast that it was easy to spend them for soil. And, these trees are particularly good for victory points and, had a pretty good time. I did very well on the objectives as well. So stuff like trying to find things like starfish and deer and whatever, like various, and turkey, names of animals in the flowers and stuff. So this was a good fun game. Look at the scores. 208, 112, 207. Yeah, we literally finished with a point to spare. And I've had tiebreakers with this before. I've had several games where it's been done by a point or, we finished on the same number of points. For a game that you can have a ton of points in, it's surprisingly how close you can be. But yeah, man, to win it by a point. That was close, and I mean, we did fairly different things, but we were kind of balanced throughout. I mean, I think it was a young lady that did it, and she was a lot better at the personal objectives and the public objectives than I was. As you can see, our score was like 44 points there, and I scored 21. So I didn't do very well on those because I kind of ignored them. But I was able to make up for that with doing well on some other aspects like overall, and particularly the trees. She only had 2 trees. I had 20. Sorry, 2 points. I had 20. And then I was kind of doing better than her on a few other things. Like I did very well on the objectives front. So yeah, we were close. That was a close game and a good fun one at that. Ark Nova! Of course I can't go to a convention without playing Ark Nova. I mean, seriously. Although, on that note, somebody did play Hegemony there. They played a 4-player teaching game where even the person teaching it was new to the game. Suffice to say, I bowed out at that one, and this is probably the first con I've been to in a long time where I didn't play a game of Hegemony. I know, shock horror, right? Sacrilege. But a 4-player teaching game where the person teaching doesn't know the game, and even then there was no spare slot for me, and I thought maybe this is not the best idea for a 2-day convention in Iceland. I thought maybe not, but Hegemony got played. Voidfall didn't. Just saying. But the Ark Nova here. So what was this one? Yes, people, they'd already played the game before. But they were maybe a little hazy on some rules, so I just retaught some of it. But this was with the expansion, the Marine Worlds one. I've already done a video on how good Marine Worlds is, so by all means, check it out. And this was quite a fun game. I think I won fairly convincingly with a high appeal method. Because what was I using here? I was using the Silver Lake, but I started in a weird place and actually went to the Silver Lake quite late, because I really wanted certain X tokens on the other side to do certain actions early, so I made that decision. But I think is this the game I went fairly high in the pavilions? No, that's a different game. This one, I think, was a fairly general game. I went mostly for small animals. What was my objective? I think my objective was... Oh, my objective was to have more of certain animals icons to the player to my right, because the other one I had was a bad one that I wasn't doing very well on. Science symbols, yeah, and I wasn't getting a lot of those. But here, I've got I got a lot of animal icons more than the person to my right, but sea dwellers was a focus, so I built some very early aquariums and got quite a few sea creatures and made good use of the reef dweller effects. So I was getting quite a lot of bonuses from them. But this was a good fun game. I mean, it's not often that I think this is the first time I've gone this heavy into the aquariums, because either I can't find the cards or I just think I'm doing something else at the moment. But this time there was a conservation project for it, and they wanted sea dwellers, so I grabbed the university ASAP and started looking for fishies, and yeah, it worked out quite well. I don't think there was much else I was doing that was particularly interesting. Some normal sponsors, flipping of certain cards. I mean, this was to prove a point. I didn't flip my build card until quite late in the game, and by that point I was already about finishing. And I didn't flip my association card at all, even though it was one of the non-basic cards that I started the game with. I made use of its ability. You can see there I've got 2 copies of Asia on the partner zoos, which normally you can't do. You can with this association, and it certainly helped me get the Asia conservation project easier. But yeah, some people think that you have to go heavy into association to do well. Like, it's like, all the green points you get and all the stuff you get with it is like so much better. And it's like, well, I didn't flip it at all, and I only really touched association to get my universities and a couple of partner zoos late in the game. So I don't think it's entirely true. I mean, you can even look at the left-hand side of my board there. I unlocked all the income bonuses because we were triggering quite a few breaks. I never even took the token off that unlocks another worker. So I only got one other worker, and that was from reputation. So, you don't have to go heavy into association to win this game, just saying. But, yep, always good fun. Love a bit of Ark Nova. We'll get on to this one a little bit later, because this is one of the other ones I want to talk about. Dale's a merchant, yes. Cool, blimey, it's been a while since I got this one off the table. In fact, saying that, this was the first time in a while I'd played it. But in the... since then, I've played another game of it, so it's been good to get Dale of Merchants off the shelf. And this one, the deck builder from Snowdale Designs, with all the animal folk, in all the sets, I've got the collection. I mean, the collection was there. This isn't my copy, but... I was able to go, right, let's pick some relatively straightforward animal folk and just have a bit of a laugh, teach the game, and they all enjoyed it, particularly as we had the raccoons as part of the set, so people were doing a little bit of stealing from each other. We had the cat, so somebody could enjoy like a bit of dice rolling chaos, which was quite funny. There's one card in the cat one where you hold the card up to somebody, you tell them to guess its value, and if they can guess it, then tough. But if they don't, you can choose its value. And I was expecting to use it as an easy way to build a stack. Held the card up nice and comfortably, it was a 2, and he guessed 2. And it's like, damn you. So I got a bit of a reaction. But yeah, of all the time, the one time I used the card, he guesses right. It's like, how dare you? But this was a good fun laugh. And I don't think I even won this. I think the person to my left won it just because I was ready to build. I mean, as you can see here, I've taken a picture where I've got 2 acorns in my hand. Oh no, this is early. I've only built my 5th stack. But suffice to say, by the time we got to my 8th stack, I was literally on my next turn going to win. And then the other person won. The race was close, but man, Dale of Merchants is a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the Peacemaker one that he's doing, the reprint, because I never played the old version, so I'm really keen to see what this new one is. What else we got? That Great Western Trail. I will talk about that momentarily. Kanban EV. This was the last game I played on the Sunday morning, and did I play this on the Sunday morning? No, I played this on the Saturday evening. This was the last game I played on the Saturday evening, and alongside Long Shot the Dice game. And yeah, I do love Kanban, although playing it at 9, 10 o'clock at night and trying to teach it to 3 new players of varying ability levels and APness and trying to concentrate on your own game is very difficult indeed. I mean, I was really getting tired by this point. So I think in the future I won't be playing Lacerda games at night time. I think that's just a bad idea. But this was a good fun laugh. Kanban is still a fantastic Lacerda Euro. It's easily his best Lacerda Euro. There is no contest on that front. And everybody doing different things. I mean, I took a while before I could even get any cars because, annoyingly, I had 2 people pretty much do everything that I was trying to do and dick me over for it. So I was fighting an uphill battle. I did eventually win, just like literally a few points in it. So, but I had to get my points from elsewhere. I mean, I was doing quite a few upgrade designs, so I scored a fair few of those. So once I did get some cars, I had a lot of tested designs to go for. Did all right in the meetings, but I was getting quite a few points during the game, as well as for some endgame stuff. So yeah, only won just, but I think the upgrades and the tested designs and the student training helped me out a lot. But cool, blimey, yeah. Trying to teach this at night time is probably not a good idea. Long Shot the Dice game. So, yep, certainly, played that one. And this one, again, I did straight after Kanban. It was almost midnight, and I decided to teach some people how to play Long Shot. And I really should have gone to bed. But I said, all right, I'll teach you it, and then I'll go to bed. And then I just figured, sod it, sat down and just played it. And maybe that was a mistake because I was really tired. And I'm obviously teaching a game when you are tired is not something I recommend, because when you're tired, little things start irking you, and it could be AP, it could be making a mistake in the game, or it could be having to repeat yourself. Particularly if you have to repeat yourself with things that you've explained already that you think people should have got by now, it's fine when you're teaching a game normally. When you do it when you're tired, though, it's quite hard to sort of keep a straight face sometimes. So I really probably should have gone to bed. But this was a good laugh. I think I won it by $2. I think literally only $2. It was a very tight game, this one. And there was a lot of me forcing the number 6 horse to not win, because you can see I've made a good bet on it. But the thing was that somebody else owned the horse, and a lot of people had bet heavily on 6. So if I wanted to stand any chance of winning, I had to let somebody else's number 8 horse finish first, and then have my own 3 horse come in, second, so that I would get some points there. and make sure in the sixth one tanked so that they didn't get loads more points. And certainly the person who owned six wasn't too happy that I was constantly basically screwing over a horse. But I had to. I had no other choice. And the game was dragging on a little bit because the horses that I wanted weren't rolling the dice to finish. So it was some mean tactical play there, but it paid off. Otherwise, I wouldn't have actually managed to win it. Alright, that's the snowy thing, so not much there. And finally, Wayfarers of the South Tigris. I think this is the last one before I talk about other ones. Wayfarers. Love this one. In fact, spoiler alert, if you've been watching the 20 to 11 video yet for my top 100, you'll have seen this appear, because this is my favourite Garfield game. And I played this on the Sunday morning, so literally as the game finished, I scored up and had to leave. So had to leave them to pack it up, which, you know, I apologize, but they were happy with it. But oh man, I love this game. This is just the collecting of the cards. I focused heavily on sea, as you can see there. I've got like 8 sea things in front of me there, along with some various planets, a moon, you know, just the comets, just so that I could get across the board. I did do in order to make certain I finished by 12 o'clock, I did do a rush. I mean, I taught this game from scratch to 2 other players, and these aren't the quickest players ever, and, you know, finished the game in less than in 2 hours. It's pretty good going. Now, I did slightly rush the end game journal thing. I mean, it was only a couple of turns ago I was where that yellow piece was, you know, several columns behind. But yeah, I had a bit at the end where I had the black influence and had the means to get across, you know, criteria. So I was using it and trying to get across as fast as possible. But yeah, this was just another good fun game as well. And, you know, I always enjoy nice bit of Wayfarers, all those options, all those different, like, path to victory you can take. And it just worked out quite nicely. I think I focused quite a lot on the blues. So Blue Guild, provisions and coins, you know, income phase, you know, I was getting quite a lot of stuff there, you know, trying to get boat symbols. It did quite well for me, this one, but this was a good fun game nonetheless. Okay, little fade out there because I had to refill my coffee, not to mention, you know, well, actually, refill my coffee for the most part and just take a little breather. But yeah, now let's talk about the 2 games that I played at the Icelandic Game Retreat, as I shall call it, that weren't games that I'd played before, although one of them is slightly similar, you'll see. But this is one that I've been meaning to play for so long. Oh my word, have I wanted to play this game, because I keep hearing the Dice Tower go on and on and on about it, and I've seen it played occasionally. It's like, look, at some point I want to try it. This is called Trekking Through History. And I've never played any of the trekking through whatever games, so this is like my first entry into it. And this is a very straightforward game. I mean, literally all you do in this is you essentially have, in fact, let me go back to the photo. So you've got these time markers on this track here. And basically you play through 3 years. And in these years, it's one of those games where the person at the back makes the next move, and you're collecting cards in order to put these tokens on your little chart thing here. And you get the cards, they give you specific tokens, and they also have a time value on them. So you move your time marker across, and obviously whoever's at the back or on top of somebody is technically at the back. You're hopefully trying to finish exactly at 12 because you get some bonus points for being punctual, but essentially, yeah, it's just basically a set collection game. But what you're also trying to do is get your cards in chronological order in terms of their year, because they score more points the longer you can keep it going. There's even negatives if you don't do it very long. And that's pretty much it. You rinse and repeat for 3 years. You can get these tokens to reduce the time value of cards, these little crystal shards. But that's basically it. The game is that, nothing else. I mean, they weren't kidding when they said that this was a simple game. I mean, it's rank 648, as if ranking matters. Weight 1.76. And again, it's a useless statistic on BGG, but it is a light game. So this is a non-gamer game for the most part. And it's okay. Yeah, I was kind of expecting a bit more from this. I was really sort of thinking, right, this is going to be one of those games that I'm going to recommend to all families, and I'm going to get it myself and play it lots as a introductory game. I can definitely say it's a light family game, and I think I can see where some people are going to enjoy this. But this is a game that doesn't scale well at all. I can see spouses playing this. I can see 2 players, like a gamer and their spouse, playing this a lot. Maybe families where you've got a parent and 2 kids, or 2 parents and 1 kid or something, playing it as a 3 player. I don't think this game worked very well as a 4 player. It was far too chaotic because the game doesn't scale with the cards that are available. You can't buy off the deck, so you've only got 5 cards to buy, and you are really stressed to try and get A, the tokens you need, B, the time value that's efficient, and C, keep your cards in a chronological order. But the problem is that when you've got 4 of you, you might as well take a coffee break between turns because the cards that are there are not going to be anything like the ones you saw before. And so it just sort of comes down to a bit of blind luck as to whether you can do the chronological aspect or even just get the card that you particularly want. Now, it's simple, and you do have some nice like flavor text on the back of these cards, which is quite nice if you want to actually learn about it. And it is a looker. I mean, it's not the best components ever, but it's got a tray, it's got some little plastic tokens, and the artwork is beautiful. I mean, it is really nice artwork on these cards, so it's certainly a nice, pretty game. But I would not play this with 4 players ever again. I would possibly play it with 3, and I will certainly play it with 2, because I thought it was alright. You know, the game is alright, and certainly I think 2-player is the way to play. You know, you want to have a good tactical decision over those cards. But the one thing I'm a little bit on is this chronological order thing here. So the idea that if you only get 1 card in a set, it's -3, and then 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 11. I don't know how you're supposed to get 11 cards in a set in a 3-4 player game. That just seems impossible. But, you know, you can get a lot of points, and, you know, you don't score too high in this game. So those points can add up to quite a bit. But a lot of the times you may just take a card and it'll be good in sequence, and then by the time it gets round to you, the cards that are on display do not suit your time sequence at all. Well, it's like, well, how do I know what's coming out of the deck? It's not like you've got a reference for what years are in that particular year, but there's no way you're peering at that in a family game all the time. And even then, yeah, it's okay to say that there's at least 10 cards that, go above this date, so I should be all right. But are those 10 cards going to come out of the deck? I don't know. They might not do. They might be all at the bottom of the deck for all you know. So it's meant to be a simple family game, and it's meant to be just a random sort of luck fest in the sense. It's a fairly random game that anybody can play. But still, having that sort of punishing nature with the randomness of the chronological order, that just sort of irked me a bit. But that's my one flaw of the game. Two flaws. One, the player scaling is not good up to 4 players, and the chronological order of time cards, I think, is just too random. Other than that, though, it's well produced, it's very simple, there's still some, tension between turns, and, it is cool to try and, get the tokens on your card, and there are different cards that you can do. I swear some are more easier to do than others, but it's a light family game, who cares? Good reference cards, very simple rules. So I mean, somebody here has got 10, 11 cards in a row. I guarantee you try doing that in a 4-player game, it ain't gonna happen. So in fact, how does this work anyway? Because he's got age 1 and age 2 cards here. Doesn't it wipe at the end of each age? I don't know. It's kind of weird. But suffice to say, it just wasn't really. The game is fine. I just didn't really go mad for it. People had been saying that this was like a really, really great family game. It's an okay family game. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. It's fine. It's above average. It just, I think I went in with quite high expectations and came out just feeling kind of, yeah, it's fine. Nothing major. To put it in the top 100 of all time, though, like several did in the Dice Tower, I'm like, no, I would not put this anywhere near a top 100. It's an okay family game, and that's about it. All right, the main event. People are probably losing their minds at the moment because I recently bought, and I am not joking, I bought, and I can show you the proof here, a Great Western Trail game. New Zealand. Yes, I actually, with some vouchers, so I could get the game for free effectively, but bought a Great Western Trail game for the collection. You're probably wondering what the hell is going on, because I used to hate Great Western Trail with a passion. And to be honest, I still do hate the first edition of Great Western Trail with a fair passion. It's like, oh god, this is not a good game. But I always have been saying lately that I'm going to try games that I didn't like before, because it was probably a good 6-7 years when that got released ages ago, probably even longer than that. And I thought, I will try it again. Somebody teach me the game, and I'll try it again. I saw my friends playing the New Zealand version, and I figured, I'll play the New Zealand version. And I actually enjoyed the game. And I've actually enjoyed it more in the subsequent times I've played it. I played it in Iceland. No, I didn't play it in Iceland. I played it I played it at HandyCon and with the mates in our own time. So New Zealand is the one that I think is the best of the Great Western Trails. Now, granted, it's taken, a whole second edition and 2 other iterations to actually get the one that I say is the great one. So it took a while, but that's what second editions are meant to do. They are meant to fix problems with the first edition of a game and, improve it. So I think it did. New Zealand is more open. There's 4 characters, not 3. They're all balanced quite well in terms of doing well, like points-wise. And there was just more options. I felt like there was more options in that game. It wasn't so constricted. And so New Zealand is definitely my factor. But my mate said, play Great Western Trail with Race to the North, and that's specifically what this is. So, it's not just simply Great Western Trail here. It is Great Western Trail with the expansion Race to the North. So, Race to the North is effectively, where's the expansions here? Here we go. Expansions, Rails to the North. It's essentially what, kind of, according to my mates, makes this similar to New Zealand. So I thought, okay, fine. I used to hate the first edition of Great Western Trail, and I never played it with the expansion in that version. So I thought, let's do it. Let's give it a fair shot now. Do I think it's improved as a result of second edition and this expansion? It has, actually. Yeah, I think over time my tastes have just changed in regards to some Euro games. I've gotten used to the fact that deck building has been shoved in as a shoehorn side thing to a lot of games, so that doesn't irk me as much anymore. And I think the second edition does improve, because I was not that au fait with the first edition, on some of the graphic design. It's streamlined some of the rule sets, so it's not too complicated to play. I think the, some of the irks like, oh yeah, you really want to go to Kansas City and lose a bunch of points early game because then it will propel you later on. It's like, how does that make thematic sense? It doesn't make, I always hate it when exploits are in the game like that. If you get negative points for something, you shouldn't be aiming for it. It just doesn't work. It's like Le Havre with debt. It's like, yeah, get loads of debt. You shouldn't be aiming for debt. That doesn't know how it works, but I digress. So this one effectively opens up a big board above the Great Western Trail thing, where when you move your when you do the deliveries, it unlocks these train routes that you can put your little houses on. And I basically decided, you know what? This is the similar part to Zealand. I munchkined this like crazy. I went all over this little map. I went hard into... In fact, I didn't really go hard into a particular character. I just went to build these as much physically fast as possible. So if I show here, you can see there's a lot of red houses on there. That's because I emptied my entire... Actually, red? No, white. Yeah, you can see all the white houses there. I emptied my entire board of white houses. So, yeah, I certainly focused quite a bit on that. And focused on getting my hand size up very early and getting fast movement so that I could do lots of quick deliveries with the sheep that I'd got from a couple of shepherds. But you'll notice I ain't got many characters there, because I literally only bought about 3 characters in the whole game. I bought 2 shepherds and 1 builder or 1 ticket master. I can't remember, but I think it was 1 builder. And the idea is that 2 of those characters went on station harbour ones in the middle of the train track to get their bonuses, as you can see. But yeah, I basically just used crafty sort of crafty use of the deck buildy side of it in order to get my hand in a good state. Bought some relatively interesting cows. I can't remember, it's not sheep, it's cows here. Cows early on with the 2 shepherds I had, but also they used the variant, the mini expansion, which put in calves. So you could get a calf one, which I bought fairly expensive early on, and when you take it to delivery, it levels up to a level 4 from a level 2, and then eventually levels up to a 5. So I had 1 or 2 of those in my deck, and they were certainly helping me get some of these higher deliveries until my engine just suddenly went out of control, because by the time I'd put a bunch of these houses down, I was getting quite a few nice little bonuses from these various tiles to do well on. Certainly my train was moving at a relatively slow pace, so I was losing a little bit of income from the having to deliver further than my train was, so that lost me a little bit, but I made up for it by being a little bit of a dick and building some specific tax buildings. So you can't really see too well. I've only got a couple of images, but there's a couple of buildings here, which are both tax buildings. Guess who they belong to? Me. The last time I won New Zealand quite well, I was doing some heavy taxing on my mates. I decided to do the same here, and there weren't that many tax buildings in the game. I think there was only literally a couple. So I built one early on in a bottleneck area where there was like no way we were going to go the other way around, and then I planted one shortly and a little bit later after it. So people had to pay $3 to me to go past that space. So they were either drained of money at that point, or I got lots of trickle income. And a lot of my other monetary bonuses was coming from the fact that because I was buying so few characters and yet making deliveries, that I was getting money without having to spend it on a ton of stuff. So I was able to uproot a bunch of these hazard tokens, and I was going after bandits as well, so I was getting money from those. That was my income generation, and it was doing really well. I mean, normally I find you have to spam a character in this or get a lot of them. I bought free the entire game. I was using other methods, auxiliary actions, to get what I wanted. So my train there could move from auxiliary actions. My card shuffling could. The fact that I could put two... I started off with unlocking my second one of the port house. So I could get rid of bad sheep. I could get rid of sheep in my hand, pay a couple of coins, put these houses down, and unlock lots of cool stuff. It really did end up as a really interesting engine that I did. Now, I did enjoy the game. You know, I said I think this is an improvement, but a couple of reservations. Firstly, I still don't like the fact that the Great Western Trail 2nd edition has 3 characters. Zealand has 4. So at the start of the game, I went last, and out of the characters there, player 1 buys a shepherd, a cowboy. Second player buys one of the train conductors. Third person decides to buy like a builder or like the other shepherd or something like that. You know, I keep calling them shepherds, but you know what I mean. And so by the time it gets around to me, all I've got is really expensive builders. And I'd already done the building strategy, but it's like, I feel like I've been pigeonholed into a character here because I went last, because there's only 3 of them to pick from. I think there should be at least 4, and that's why New Zealand, I think, does a lot better in that regard. But, that being said, my rating has changed to a 7 for this game. It might even bump to an 8. I mean, I don't know. Great Western Trail New Zealand is rated an 8 for me at the moment, but I do think that this is an improvement on the game. I do think the 2nd edition was a good thing for Great Western Trail, and maybe my tastes have just changed enough by then that I've actually grown to appreciate this game a bit more. You know, it is good fun. You know, you can certainly call the victor in certain circumstances, but it doesn't feel as punishing as it did back in 1st edition. I remember 1st edition just being really punishing, really constricted. Like, the easiest strategy was clearly the Cowboys, and to be fair, I think the Cowboys is still probably a better choice out of the 3 characters in this one if you were to play without the Race to the North one, because the train gets you some stuff, but you know, the train will still be quite pricey and you still got to make deliveries. The building strategy has been improved in 2nd edition for sure, but you've still got to do quite well with it in order to make it work. I mean, in New Zealand, I had to do some serious taxing in order to make that work. But I do think the game itself is still good. This one is also long as well. It took us quite a while to finish the game as a 4-player, because this chart here, where you put the tiles on as you refill the bag from the deliveries, certainly takes a while for this to fill up. And I know it's technically 1 extra tile compared to New Zealand and it's a shorter track, whatever, but I swear New Zealand goes at a quicker pace. We get that done in 2.5 hours, and this one was taking nearly 3. It just feels like it maybe goes on a bit too long, because I got to a point where I'd unlocked a ton of the... Yeah, I'd unlocked all my buildings way before the game ended. So, you know, I had to find other stuff to do with the engine. And at that point, I was just trying to uproot as many of these hazard tiles as I could, because I was just rolling in the money, not buying characters. So, you know, I do think the game needs to end a little bit quicker. But that being said, I still think it's solid. The other thing with this expansion, though, is that it kind of forces you to do this building stuff. I mean, I focused heavily on it and won considerably. I mean, I think I've got the score chart here. So this is the scoreboard at the end of this. This is on Hilmar's phone, right? The 3 scores before mine are 46, 54, and 68. I had 132. I absolutely obliterated them. You know, this is a game that, apart from the New Zealand version, I have not played in years. And this was going heavily on those. I mean, look at that. 24 points from hazard tiles, right? 27 points from city crests, 8 points from private buildings, not much from dollars. 31 points from cattle cards, so I was still able to buy a bunch of those with the 2 shepherds that I did have, because I was buying the cheaper ones, although eventually I was earning so much money that I just used the 2 cowboys to buy a high value cow at a high cost, because I didn't really mind. I wasn't paying any tax anywhere, so I was alright. And what else we got there? 5th and 6th workers. Oh yeah, I didn't fill them up on my board, I didn't get that, but yeah, station master tiles, 21. Getting extra points for putting, hazard tiles out and various other things that you were already doing quite a lot is good. But one of the city crests, the fact that I've got 27 there, there's a port town on this board where when you put it there, you get 3 points for every bell you've unlocked. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 that you can't see in the picture. That is a 15-point space that you can go on for a delivery of 16 value. Now, 16 is not low, but it's not the highest value you can aim for in this. But, man, that was a lucrative spot for me to go on. I mean, that just earns me a ton of points. And so I do worry that with this expansion, you kind of are forced to do quite a bit on this board. Because if you ignore it like a couple of players did, you really don't score very highly. I mean, even Red, who was, got on it eventually. I think that was Hilmar, actually. Where is he? 68. So, yeah, he did the next best out of everybody, and he's Red. So he's the one actually, utilizing some of this, whereas I started from the get-go. The other 2 barely did anything on there, and look at their points. They finished with very low scores. So does Race to the North mean that this board just becomes the be-all or end-all of the game, and so the game just feels a bit one-note at that point? I don't know, that's my worry, which is why I rank this as 7 at the moment and not an 8. But the thing is, I don't think I would want to play this game without the expansion if I was playing this one, because, I don't know, having only 3 characters and having just the basic mechanics, I don't think there's enough variety in the game with just this version here. It's not to say it would be bad, but I just think it would be like, well, if this strategy is not available and this strategy is not available, I kind of have to do this other strategy, otherwise I'm screwed. And I don't know, maybe I just wouldn't enjoy that as much. New Zealand, though, is easily the one. I mean, New Zealand is just, I think it was just designed with me in mind. Like, it's like, it's so good, even this guy's gonna like it. It's, really interesting, variation of the game. I mean, firstly, sheep are better than cows. That's always a thing. But I like in this version that I've got the builders, the shepherds, the sailors, and the shearers. So I've got, shearers, sailors, shepherds, and builders. So 4 different characters, and these are very distinct strategies you can go for. First game I learned of New Zealand, I went heavy into shepherds. My friend who was teaching me went heavy into sailing, and we both did the polar opposite of each other, and he won by 3 points. Doing very different things. The amount of options you have in this game, I just think are better in New Zealand, which is why it's the one I've bought. I now need to figure out how I'm going to store the game, because the insert in it is garbage. The folded space insert is decent, but it doesn't really help speed setup much, so why do I need the folded space insert? Can I just make do with some tubs and baggies? I don't know, I'll have to see. But first things first, I don't have enough sleeves. Yeah, I don't have enough sleeves to cover it, and I am not playing this game solo until I get some sleeves. So we'll have to wait while I'm in London for those sleeves to arrive. But as I say, pigs may fly, or sheep, or cows in this case. And certainly my friends were very ecstatic to hear that I was into this game so much that I was willing to buy it to put on the shelf. That means the game has to be at least an 8 out of 10 if it's going to be a Euro game I want to put on the shelf. And yeah, New Zealand Great Western Trail is an 8 out of 10, given that I would have rated the original first edition a 3, maybe even a 2. Really was not a fan of it back then. Times have changed and things just, Euro taste change. I've gotten more into some of these types of Euros, or perhaps I'm just more okay with the deck building side of it. Perhaps the fact that this just gives me more options and makes it more open does make it a better game for me. It's not so constricted, because I do admit, I don't think I want to play the first Great Western Trail on its own. I want the expansion with it at least. And even then, I would rather play New Zealand. So maybe there is, basically the designs of New Zealand is what I'm gravitating to. So fair enough. I would play Argentina. I've no idea what it's like, but all I hear about Argentina is that 99% of Great Western Trail players agree it's the worst of the lot. But not to say it's terrible or bad. I don't think I hear many people say that. But they say that it's kind of meh, it's alright. And let's face it, from fanboys of Great Western Trail just saying one of theirs is meh, that might as well be a terrible at that point. But I would try Argentina if someone put it in front of me and said, let's play it. Because I would like to at least try all of them to see what they're like. But for now, New Zealand, well done. Throat was getting a little tickly there, sorry. So I think now's a good time to wrap this one up. So yeah, there we go. The very special game retreat with the little pronunciation there. But thank you, Hilmar, for inviting me up there. It was a great time. The pub quiz you had with the board game stuff, which I came second in. That was a good laugh. He did a really funny joke, which I quite liked. He did a round where he put up photos of him with various people and said, name the famous person. And so he did Stefan Feld and Mark Gertz and, who else? Ignacy Trevicek, Stephen Buonicorn, all that lot, Paul Grogan as well. But the funny thing is that when I arrived on the plane, I was still dazed because my ears, the pressure thing you get when your ears won't pop. Well, I had it really bad on the landing because we went through like a massive rainstorm cloud and my ears swelled up to the point where I almost wanted to cry out in pain. It felt like my head was going to implode because the pressure on my ears hurt and I didn't have any means to stop it. I tried every trick in the book and I couldn't get my ears to pop for at least till the morning after. I literally could not make them pop, so my hearing was off. So I was still dazed from this walking out of the terminal. And as I walk out of the terminal, he's there with his mobile phone to take a picture. And it's like, okay, is what he does. What he did was at the end of the pub quiz round where he had the famous people, he put that picture of me as the other name one. And which I thought was hilarious. And obviously not everybody at the Iceland retreat knew me, but some did, so I was glad that at least half the group actually got the name right. But what was quite funny is that he then put on the thing, some random guy at the airport. So it's just like, it was a good little funny gag. And I said that I would give 10 bonus points if somebody actually did write that. But that was a good laugh. But the retreat was great. I mean, got to eat horse steak. Next time I know that there's hot tubs at a lot of Iceland hotels, so the next time I'm certainly bringing my swimming shorts. But yeah, I got to eat horse steak. Got to meet lots of friendly people, lots of friends of Hilmar and that. Got to meet his fiancée and play some really good Euro games, teach some good fun games, drink a lot of soft drinks and a lot of teas. I don't know why Iceland has these really titchy... They use the cup measurement, like Americans have, that cup size, the really titchy ones. Man, I was constantly refilling from the machine. Why can't you just use a big mug like everyone else? But take a rest. That's just me winding them up. But it was great. Got to eat, drink, be merry with a lot of very friendly people who made me feel very welcome. And I got to teach a lot of cool games and just enjoy some really good fun Euros. So yeah, I mean, is it something that I would say you need to rush out and turn up to? Well, maybe not necessarily, because obviously you're going for 2.5 days. It's a small little retreat and it's going to Iceland, which obviously means flying to Iceland and saving up a lot to afford anything in Iceland. So it's like, I would probably say that if you live in Iceland, go to it. It's a good, fun time. If you live in Iceland, I think it's a no-brainer that you should attend this. But usually I think he does it once every February. So by all means, I would try it out. If you are thinking of visiting Iceland, though, and you want something else to do while you're in Iceland, then perhaps consider this as an add-on. You could spend a few days in Iceland, seeing like the Blue Lagoon and geysers and stuff like that, maybe going skiing, whatever it is you're in Iceland to do. But if you've got time while you're in Iceland visiting, like you're there for a week, 2 weeks maybe, and you want a couple of days or at least a day doing some board gaming, give it a shot. It's a nice time and there's a decent board game community in Iceland. I mean, we have to try and find every last person we can in the UK to actually find a gamer. It's hard to find gamers in the UK because there's a big population, but not enough gamers. In Iceland, a lot of people there game for the amount of people that live in Iceland. And a lot of that is because, well, if it's snow blizzards and it's dark outside, what else are you going to do? You're going to sit around all day. Well, people sit around or go to each other's houses and play board games. And so it's a bit more popular there than it seems here. But they only have access to so many games, so a lot of stuff is new to them. But it just makes for a very nice, friendly community. So, yeah, thanks, Ilmar. It'd be nice to come again. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to wrap this up so I can get this edited before I try to have some fun tonight before I get ready to go to London tomorrow. So, thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Hilmar, again. And be sure to check out the latest Top 100 and the finale of it next week. Until next time, remember, as always, regardless of how freezing you are when you go to a different country, it's still only a game, so take care, bye for now, love Iceland, bye bye.